There may be a silent killer lurking in your workplace: hydrogen sulfide. In very low concentrations, hydrogen sulfide is a nuisance due to its distinctive unpleasant odor. However, in high concentrations, exposure can be fatal, paralyzing the breathing reflex and causing nearly instantaneous death. While the effects of exposure can vary from person to person, by understanding and respecting the potential hazards, you can work safely with hydrogen sulfide. In this program, Hydrogen Sulfide Safety, you will learn what hydrogen sulfide is, potential hazards associated with hydrogen sulfide, and best practices you can use to reduce your risk. Hydrogen sulfide, or H2S, is an extremely toxic, colorless, flammable gas. It has a distinguishing odor, often associated with rotten eggs, when present in low concentrations. Hydrogen sulfide occurs naturally in crude petroleum, natural gas, volcanic gases, and hot springs. It can also result from bacterial breakdown of organic matter, as well as being produced by human and animal wastes. Hydrogen sulfide is used in processing many different types of products. For example, in the pulp and paper industry, it is used as a whitening agent for paper products. Hydrogen sulfide may be released during wastewater treatment and during landfill operations. Since hydrogen sulfide is a byproduct of petroleum production and occurs naturally in crude oil, it may be present in petroleum production facilities or in petrochemical operations. It also may be present at natural gas wells or in natural gas pipelines. Hydrogen sulfide is released primarily as a gas. It is heavier than air, meaning concentrations of hydrogen sulfide are greatest near the ground or in low-lying areas. Hydrogen sulfide's distinctive rotten egg smell can be detected at very low concentrations, as low as 5 to 10 parts per billion. As an example, 1 part per billion is about the same as a thimbleful of gas in a theater full of air. Agencies have established requirements and guidelines to limit exposure. An 8-hour threshold limit value of 10 parts per million has been established for exposure to hydrogen sulfide. A 15-minute short-term exposure limit of 15 parts per million has also been established, with a ceiling limit of 20 parts per million. For example, 1 part per million is equal to about 2 soda cans of gas in a house full of air. Hydrogen sulfide is irritating to the eyes and respiratory tract. Eye irritations may persist for several days. Symptoms include scratchiness, tearing, and burning. Respiratory tract symptoms include coughing, pain in breathing, and pain in the nose and throat. Most symptoms disappear when exposure stops. A concentration level in the atmosphere of 100 parts per million is dangerous. At this level, short-term exposure causes severe eye irritation, coughing, dizziness, headache, and nausea. Hydrogen sulfide can paralyze the sense of smell at concentrations between 50 and 150 parts per million. Just because you can't smell rotten eggs doesn't mean hydrogen sulfide is not present in harmful concentrations. Exposure to a potentially fatal concentration of over 700 parts per million may result in collapse, coma, and death from respiratory failure, even in very brief exposures. Hydrogen sulfide is extremely flammable. Both the liquid and gas pose a serious fire hazard if released. Since the gas is heavier than air and can remain in the air for long periods of time, it can travel long distances along floors or the ground. An ignition source quite far from where the gas was released can cause ignition and flashback, with a resulting fire or explosion. The key to working safely with hydrogen sulfide is detection, knowing when and where the gas is present. Look for warning signs posted in known hydrogen sulfide areas. The gas may be present around pumps, valves, and pipe fittings. Compressors or relief valves may emit hydrogen sulfide gas. Since the gas is heavier than air, confined spaces like sewers, manholes, tunnels, utility vaults, boilers, or tanks may be collection points. Liquids containing hydrogen sulfide may be present on or near wastewater piping systems. Since hydrogen sulfide is both flammable and toxic, safety policies and standards focus on eliminating sources of ignition and minimizing your exposure to the gas. An air quality monitor detects the presence of hydrogen sulfide. Wear a personal monitor whenever there is the possibility of exposure. It should be set to sound an alarm if concentrations go above established standards. Fixed monitors should be in place in areas where a release of hydrogen sulfide may occur, such as near pumps, compressors, or relief valves. These monitors should be set to sound an alarm when concentrations rise above established standards. A portable monitor should be used to test air quality before using any equipment that may be a source of ignition and is part of every confined space entry procedure. Since high concentrations can paralyze your sense of smell, do not rely on your nose to detect the presence of hydrogen sulfide. Just one breath of a very high concentration of gas can be fatal. If the alarm sounds on a fixed or personal monitor, immediately leave the area. Your health and safety depend on your quick reaction to the alarm. Report the incident to your supervisor. Re-enter the area only after testing has occurred and concentrations have returned to acceptable levels. When working with hydrogen sulfide, you must take action to protect your health and safety by selecting and wearing the correct personal protective equipment, or PPE. To work safely in an area with a high concentration of hydrogen sulfide, you must wear respiratory protection in the form of an air-supplying respirator. An air-supplying respirator provides you with breathable air from a source that is different from the contaminated air. There are 3 types of air-supplying respirators: airline, self-contained breathing apparatus, or SCBA, and a combination airline with an escape pack. Airline respirators supply clean air through a hose from a cylinder of compressed air, a compressor, or a large diameter tube. SCBA respirators supply clean air from a cylinder worn on the back. The air flows through a regulator to a mask, providing clean air to the user. A combination airline respirator with escape pack provides a small cylinder of air for exiting the area if the airline supply is cut off. Since hydrogen sulfide irritates the eyes, it is recommended that a full face piece be used when working in environments where there is the potential for exposure. Before wearing any type of respirator, you must complete a medical questionnaire, be fit tested, and receive training on the proper use and limitations of the respirator to be used in your workplace. To protect your skin, wear chemical-resistant gloves if you may be exposed to a liquid containing hydrogen sulfide. Neoprene, butyl rubber, or PVC gloves are recommended. Wear splash goggles or safety glasses and a face shield for protection against rapidly expanding gases. Know where eye wash stations and safety showers are located in your work environment in case an accidental exposure to your skin or eyes occurs. Since hydrogen sulfide is extremely flammable, keep sparks, heat, or open flame out of any area where hydrogen sulfide may be present. Be sure all electrical equipment is grounded before use and is equipped with a ground fault circuit interrupter. If possible, use only spark-proof tools or explosion-proof equipment. If you must use spark-producing equipment in areas where the gas may be present, always comply with your site's procedures and policies. Monitor air quality before using these tools or equipment, and follow all safe work permit procedures in place for identifying potential hazards in the work area. In an emergency, a person who rushes into a situation without taking the necessary precautions can often become another victim. Thorough training and preparation are vital to responding correctly to an emergency situation. There are different levels of emergency response training. A Level 1 responder is an employee who witnesses or discovers a release of hazardous material and is trained to notify proper authorities. In a hydrogen sulfide emergency situation, such as an uncontrolled release of gas, you and your coworkers must immediately leave the area. Call for help. Use a radio or the emergency telephone number for your site to contact emergency personnel. Provide your name, the location of the emergency, and what type of help is needed. If you have inhaled hydrogen sulfide, move to fresh air immediately and seek medical attention. The physical effects of hydrogen sulfide are reversible if fresh air is supplied quickly. Secure the area to be sure no one else can be exposed. Use tape or barricades to block access to the area. Report the incident to your supervisor or safety staff. If your skin has been exposed to liquids containing hydrogen sulfide, wash under running water for at least 15 minutes. Since symptoms may be delayed, anyone who has inhaled hydrogen sulfide should remain under medical observation. Only authorized and trained personnel should attempt rescue operations. Do not attempt rescue if you have not been trained. Rescuers should work in the buddy system. At a minimum, an air-supplying respirator must be worn. Under certain conditions, fire-retardant clothing may also be necessary. Only authorized personnel should administer bottled oxygen or perform CPR. While exposure to high concentrations of hydrogen sulfide can be fatal, you can work safely with this substance if you understand and respect the potential hazards. The key to working safely with hydrogen sulfide is detection. Wear a personal H2S monitor whenever there is a possibility of exposure. Use portable monitoring equipment when performing certain tasks, such as before using equipment that may be an ignition source or before confined space entry. If a monitor alarm sounds, you and your coworkers must leave the area immediately and report the incident to your supervisor. Wear the correct PPE for your work tasks. Respiratory protection may be necessary in certain situations. Keep sparks, heat, or open flames out of areas where hydrogen sulfide may be present. Follow safe work procedures when using any possible ignition source in these areas. Be prepared for emergency situations. Never respond to an emergency beyond your training. Do not become a part of the problem. While it may be easy to spot the potential hazards of hydrogen sulfide in certain situations, in the workplace, it may be very difficult to detect. Your ability to recognize the hazards and take action to reduce the risk will ensure your health and safety.